Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video and would like to receive notifications of my future video postings, please subscribe. I apologize, I'm still not quite able to get rid of my sunglasses yet. My pink eye is definitely getting better, but it's still pretty miserable to look at. This video is in response to the request by one of the viewers who wrote to me several months ago. He told me that he loves coconut shrimp, but he would like to have a healthier version, and he asked me would I able to develop one for him. So I worked on it for a couple months, and this is what I come up with. So let's take a look how it goes. The first thing I do after I enter into the kitchen is to get some shrimp out of the freezer. I put them in a colander and run them under some tap water. I use a large shrimp which I got from Sam's Club. It is peeled, deveined, and tail offed. Now, I would never use shrimp that are already cooked because you have much better control when they are raw. Also, as much as possible, I try to get shrimp that has the tail off. However, at the same time, I can see why people buy shrimps with the tail on, particularly if they're going to eat like a cocktail shrimp, which they can pick up the shrimp by fingers. So next, I'm going to make up the sauce. I'm going to start out with a half tablespoon of my basic seasoning mix. You can find out more about it by take a look at this video. Or you can just substitute it with some salt and pepper. And next, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. You can add more or less as you prefer, or you can just omit it completely. To create a glaze for the dish, I add 1/3 tablespoon of cornstarch, which is critical to create the consistency of the sauce. For this dish, I'm going to add approximately about 1/4 cup of water to this to create a cornstarch suspension that will reach the type of consistency that I would like to have for the sauce. For this particular dish, I like the sauce to be relatively thick to cling to the food ingredients, but obviously you can make changes accordingly. This is followed by adding 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce. I would not use the dark soy sauce type because I don't want to make the dish with too dark a color, and also that will change the flavor of the dish to be a much stronger soy sauce flavor, which I prefer not to. So the next step is that I'm going to mix the whole sauce ingredients as thoroughly as I can because it is important to have the cornstarch well suspended, otherwise it might become grainy when you put them into the wok. So now the final step is to add the coconut. I use coconut flakes, and you can add as much or as little coconut as you prefer. In this case, I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of coconut, but it's very much up to your personal preference. You can add more or less as you so desire. So finally, after mixing everything well, now the sauce is ready, and I am getting ready to cook. The next step is to create a light batter for the shrimp. I'm going to start out with an egg. I find that egg is very nice to create extra flavor in the batter, and also the egg provides some richness to the batter. And if I want to coat the shrimp lightly, the batter will actually help the cornstarch, which I will be used to attach to the shrimp. I only want to add enough egg to the shrimp to coat it lightly. So actually, I probably only use about 1/5 of the egg that I have. And then I will mix it with the shrimp. As you can tell, even though I add in a very small amount, there is plenty of egg there. I do not want to add too much egg, and actually it is very important because otherwise the shrimp will become too much moisture and they will not stir fry as well. If you don't eat egg, you can omit this step completely. I'm going to use cornstarch to create a batter. Cornstarch works really well because it provides a much crispier batter. So I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Again, if you want the batter to be thicker, then you can add more cornstarch. Sometimes people will combine half cornstarch and half flour. These steps are not critical. the end result is that you might have a slightly different texture. But in time, with some experimentation, you probably will find out what might work best for you and what would be your preference. Then you can decide whether you want to add cornstarch or flour or what kind of combination that you want to use. So the final step in making this batter is to add the coconut flake. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of coconut flake. Again, this is not a critical step. You can add more or less depending on your personal preference. The coconut flake will add a flavor to the shrimp. This batter is a much lighter batter than the traditional coconut shrimp, as you probably will have them in the restaurant setting. At the same time, this makes the dish healthier. This coconut dish is healthier, not only that the shrimp has a lighter batter, but at the same time, I'm going to cook it with vegetables, which include carrot, asparagus, and yellow pepper. So okay, now we are ready to cook. I start by adding 2 tablespoons of canola oil, just enough to cover the bottom of the wok. I'm going to spot season the wok, use my spot seasoning method. If you are unfamiliar with this method, you can take a look at this video. As you can see, after I heat up the oil starts to smoke gently. I will let it to smoke for about 15 seconds because this is time when the wok is being seasoned. This is also the time when the oil is at the highest temperature. I first add about half cup of thinly sliced carrot. Now I consider carrot to be my keystone prep, which is a prep that I always have. It's always nice to have some carrot on hand. A carrot is great for any dish as a starter, particularly when you add it in a small amount. Not only it is great in nutritional value, but at the same time, it is also add coloration to the dish. I usually have the carrot thinly sliced because they will allow them to be cooked quickly, and I always add them in the beginning because they take a little bit longer to cook. I add the shrimp to the wok using a pair of tongs. You notice that I use the tongs instead of a wok spatula to move the shrimp. This is a method known as shallow frying. So in the case of shallow frying, what one tries to do is to lay out the shrimp at the bottom of the wok and have them in contact with the oil, and then you turn them around once you reach a certain degree of doneness. Shallow frying is great if you are frying only a small quantity, such in this case with the shrimp, but it has a great advantage is that you don't use much oil at all. By constantly stirring the shrimp, as you can tell that they cook very quickly, and this is the advantage of moving the shrimp around in the bottom of the wok. Now they're about 50% cooked. I'm now ready to add the asparagus. And now we are almost at the finish line, so the next I do is that I switch from the tongs to a wok spatula because that makes the stirring much more efficient. So the final ingredients I'm going to add is some cut yellow color pepper. Now I quickly stir the dishes because I do not want to overcook either of these ingredients. I would like to maintain the freshness of these vegetables, and now the dish is done and I turn off the heat and I'm ready to add the sauce. You probably noticed that as soon as I add the sauce, the cornstarch thickens almost immediately. I lift the wok off the burner because I have an electric burner, so even I turn it off, the heat is still continue, and I do not want to heat the content any further. After a few quick stir, the dish is ready to serve, and the total cook time is about 3 minutes. As you can tell on the finished dish, it created a glaze over the food ingredients rather than a sauce. Personally, I prefer that much better than a sauce because it concentrates the flavor on the food ingredients. This dish is simple and healthy, and it is also delicious. Since I am presenting this to you as a template, you can make a lot of modifications based on your personal preference. I also think this dish is great for beginners because it's very straightforward and it has great flavor, and you find it's good return of the effort that you put into it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like icon below because this will help me to reach a broader audience. I'm posting videos on a regular basis, and if you'd like to receive notifications of my future video postings, please subscribe. I'll see you next time, hopefully without my sunglasses.